What's good, YouTube, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm just going to be doing a quick unboxing of the 64audio Nio headphones. Full disclosure, these are on loan to me from headphones.com, and you can see that this is a Nio demo unit as well. And on the back here you can see some of the description and some of the technologies that they're putting into their IMs. But yeah, one of the things I'm really fond of is the Apex technology for sure. It's sort of a pressure release thing so that you don't get that buildup of pressure in your ears that generally comes with most IMs. But yeah. Let us pop this open. I think we're... And how do you open this? Okay, well, I was being dumb and I figured it out. All you gotta do is just slide this out. I was wondering why there was a sort of a seam here, and I figured it out eventually. Yeah. Alrighty. Put that to the side. And here you got your little tag. Some very inspirational words. But yeah, nice little touch, of course. Oh boy, that is pretty. And there is one of our earbuds. It looks like they might have slipped out of the packaging in transport. But hey, they should be fine though. And over here is your, I think this is a leather case. Not sure what exactly the material is. I think it's leather. Maybe it's something synthetic. And inside you have a ton of ear tips, a clip, and some other accessories. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a bit more of a classy touch to the case relative to the one that came with my U12T. This one is a lot more utilitarian, and you could probably run this thing over with a car and it would be fine. But yeah. And let's look at the earphones themselves. And so it looks like it might have came out during transport. This looks like I think this is the M15 module. I can't remember exactly which one is which. Oh no, that's the M20, and then this is the new M10 module. So yeah, those are the Apex modules. What they basically control is the amount of isolation that you're getting with the earphones. So I think the M20 is supposed to be minus 20 dB, the MX is minus 10 dB, and then the M15, which I'm assuming is in here right now, is minus 15 dB, of course. And as well as that, they do make some minute adjustments to the frequency response as well, especially in the bass response. But yeah, let's get these out of here and take a closer look at them. Okay, and here are the earphones themselves. Wow, they are freaking pretty. I love what 64 has done with the shells here, and wow, that is pretty phenomenal. I think it's a little bit hard to tell on camera, but they do shift colors in light. Wow, that is really sick. And here you can see that this is the U12T. So yeah, it's definitely kind of a step up over that in terms of bling. This one's a little bit more understated. I think that the overall shell design is pretty much the same. It might be a little bit more similar to the Tia Trio though. Yeah, so you can see that this is a demo model specifically. Alright, so I've been listening to these for the past day or so, and I thought I would make an impression video just because of how impressed I've been with these, honestly. Right, so I forgot to mention, if you guys are wondering why I have a different cable on here, it's actually because the stock cable I got with this was defective. When I was using it, it was making sound, but then when I would swap out these modules, the M10, the M15, M20, it wouldn't make a noticeable difference to the bass, and I was so confused at what was happening. So yeah, I was talking to some guys on the audio Discord I hang in, and they were like, yeah man, it should make a huge difference. I was expecting a huge difference too, just because it does make a noticeable difference on the U12T at least. But yeah, it turns out it was the cable. I think the polarity on it is reversed or something, and just do yourself a favor and plan to pick up a separate cable with any of the 64audio IMs. The stock cable really is pretty atrocious, man. I'm not going to mince words here. The memory wire is really annoying, and it exacerbates the strain on the connector joints. You can see that there is no recession in here, so when you adjust this memory wire, it will push up against the connector points here. And that was an issue with my U12T, actually. I had to send that in for an RMA. But yeah, just in general, as a PSA, definitely plan to pick up a better cable with the 64audio stuff. And it's really just a little bit disappointing too, because their IMs are so good. Like, if they could just get down the accessories a little better, they would have such a compelling package overall, man. I'm just going to be doing some brief comparisons to some of the other IMs that I have on hand. The Andromeda and the Solaris 2020 are also known from headphones.com, full disclosure. And yeah, and then the U12T is mine, of course. That's sort of my grail IM. Yeah, let's talk about the tonality, because this is where I think the Nio sort of really shines, at least for me. And to this effect, the Nio really hits my sort of my target preferences, especially when it comes to the bass. I don't think I've ever shied away from the fact that I'm a bass head, so I'm really, really pedantic when it comes to my bass. And one of the first things that I noticed about the Nio is that it has a lot of texture. This is a sort of a splicing, micro splicing to the timbre of the bass that sort of creates that raw quality to it. Dynamic drivers are definitely better at doing it, which is what the Nio is running, just because I find that balanced armatures sort of decay too quickly to reproduce it. And the Andromeda is a good example of that. It doesn't have any texture at all. And the Solaris 2020 is also another good example of it. I really don't know what's going on with the Solaris 2020's bass. It's just in sort of a weird spot in my opinion. It decays a little too quickly, and it's pretty textureless in short. But yeah, that's definitely the first thing I noticed about the Nio, so really happy to hear it. And outside of that, it has a medium fast decay to my ears. Not the greatest dynamic slam in the sense that it's going super deep down into those lower registers, but very balanced overall, I think. And the great thing about this is that you can swap out the modules. I am running the M15 module right now, but yeah, depending on the module you're running, it'll more or less shift around the bass and the frequency response. I find with the M10 module, it significantly cuts down the bass, almost down to near neutral. And I think people who want something of a more balanced tuning will definitely gravitate towards that one, but it really significantly cuts the bass. There's not much of a huge difference between the M15 and M20 modules to my ears, but I think the M20 module puts it a little bit over the top for my preferences, and I think it also has a tendency to muddy up the signature a little bit, which I can't say I'm a fan of. Moving to the mid-range is on the thicker side in terms of note weight. Not super thick, but also there's just enough body to it that I think it's just about perfect, honestly. One of the things I notice about it is that the vocal placement is a little bit further back on the stage. It's not as far back as the U12T, which really creates that sense of depth. But yeah, just something to consider if you like your vocals right in your face. These are not completely in your face, they're a little bit further back. And that's really where my preference lies, but I know that won't be the same for everyone, of course. And let's see here. When it comes to treble, I'm not very picky about my treble, and I think the treble on this is fine. It's a little bit more laid back, I think. Not quite as laid back as the U12T maybe, or as laid back as the Andro 2020, but it's not a very bright IM at all, I don't think. And certainly way less treble emphasis than the Solaris 2020. But yeah, I think it's about perfect, but then again, I think the treble on a lot of IMs is right around where I want it. I never really have any, I don't really have a bone to pick with most treble responses. I think all 4 of these IMs do treble spectacularly, so take my words there with a grain of salt. When it comes to just the overall tonality, this really hits my target preferences just dead on, man. It's a ringer for it. However, I do think the Nio falters a little bit when it comes to technicalities. And specifically what I'm talking about here is pure resolution. It's just not the most resolving IM out there because there's a sort of warm blanket coloration to the timbre. It's a very pleasant coloration like the Solaris 2020. I think it has a little bit less, and I think it really strikes a good balance in that it doesn't completely overwhelm the sound signature, sort of like with the Solaris 2020. I found that the Solaris 2020 could almost sort of border on congestion at times because of that. But yeah, you're definitely going to be taking a hit in pure resolution, and I do think that the Andro 2020 and the U12T, the U12T is definitely a step up in terms of resolution. When it comes to imaging and soundstage, I think the Nio's fine. There's nothing about it that really pops out to you like the Andro 2020 with its projection, and then with the Solaris with its sort of holographic imaging, I guess you could say, in the sense that it creates that sort of 3D room sort of feeling. But I think it does do positional cues better than it does the holographic imaging sort of thing. Yeah, I think it's fine. It's definitely up there. Let's see, macrodynamics. I think it does macrodynamics pretty well. Definitely better than the Andro 2020. The Andro 2020 has some serious macrodynamic compression going on in the mid-range. It's very obvious to my ears on the Andro 2020, and I'm definitely not hearing it so much with the Nio, although that might have to do somewhat with the timbral coloration. Then when it comes to transient speed, I think it's pretty fast actually. The transients themselves aren't the sharpest, sort of like the U12T. I find they take sort of I guess you could say a rounded edge in that they're not crystal sharp. That's the thing. It's They're a little bit more pleasant, a little bit more mellow, but it really sort of complements the overall sound signature, and it's more sort of a personal preference when I critique it there. I hope you guys found these brief impressions helpful. If you did, be sure to smash that like button and to subscribe for future content. I am really loving these IMs. They are probably my favorite IM right now, actually, and I can't wait to get the review out. I'll probably get the review out sometime next week, and I think I've covered most of my thoughts for now, but things will always change later down the line as I put more listening time onto these things. I'll definitely put out a written review. I'm not sure about the video one, but be sure to check that out if you guys get the chance. Peace out until next time.